Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to my Week 1 battle of the PPL Bolt Division. Yes indeed, if you saw on the channel yesterday, a couple of videos went up announcing Parasect Germain is back after a lengthy absence in the PPL Bolt Division, sort of off-season thing between seasons 1 and 2. If you want to see the team I drafted, head on over to that video. But it is Week 1. First battle in a very long time, and of all the teams we could go up against in the first battle back, this is probably the one I was most afraid of, because we are going up against Frosted, coach of the Copenhagen Sawsbucks. Her links down in the description below, along with the links to all the other channels of the coaches involved in this season. I have never battled her before, we don't know each other that well, but it's an interesting first battle for me because, as you know, I did my last competitive battle 5 years ago, and as it turns out, 5 years ago was also the time when Frosted uploaded her first Draft League battle, so there's a weird sort of symmetry going on there. I highly encourage you to check out her channel. She's just had a run in the GBA, and she does a load of other formats as well. She does VGC. She's gone to all sorts of tournaments and championships recently, like she's like national level of VGC stuff, so she's very talented, she's very cool. Make sure you go and check out her channel. Now, the team she drafted was Great Tusk, Iron Bundle, Corviknight, Zarude, Galarian Weezing, Goodra, Gastrodon, Lycanroc, Dayform, Thunderous Therian, and Misdreavus, which is terrifying. Like, those first four in particular, Great Tusk and Iron Bundle are two of the premier physical and special threats coming out of this generation. Corviknight's always been great, and Zarude actually just ruins my team. So I was fully expecting those four to come, along with a couple of bulky things maybe. Yeah, her team ain't nothing to sniff at, so we had to get a bit creative really early on to try and circumvent the nasty things she could do to my team. So let's take a look at what I decided to bring. I'm hoping my screen isn't glitching too much. That would be unfortunate. I'm seeing it on my recording that it's glitching a bit, but that's okay. We should be alright. Anyway, first up I decided to bring Annihilate. After the Annihilate, this is a very, very bulky set. I've gone Impish, I've gone 176 HP, 236 defense and 96 SPDF. Like I say, Impish nature. This is one of my better things to take hits on both sides. Like, this will take any 2 hits, I think, from a non-boosting item, timid-natured Iron Bundle. It also takes probably any 2 hits from a non-banded Great Tusk. Hoping to be able to set up subs on either one of those or one of the more bulky things that she might bring, Gastrodon perhaps. Set up some bulk ups, Rage Fist and Drain Punch my way through a decent majority of her team. The Corviknight could be a problem for that, but realistically, I'm hoping that it shouldn't be. Annihilate is something of a Pokemon that I need to do a lot of work in this game. It's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting, both offensively and defensively, which is why I've built it in this way. Next up, we have the Sylveon. Sinatra the Sylveon is here. This is a very specially defensive set again to try and counteract that Iron Bundle as much as possible, and indeed the Goodra. We have almost max HP, 176 SPDF, Calm Nature on there, I believe it is, with Hyper Voice, Calm Mind, Reflect, and Wish. Now I need the Reflect on there, as you can see, because, yeah, while Iron Bundle is like the big threat this generation, almost, it's her physical threats that I'm more worried about. That Great Tusk and that Zarude can really put the hurt on me, so a Reflect here and there is going to be very nice. I have leftovers just for longevity. Wish to try and keep a few things as healthy as possible. Third one is going to be Toxtricity. Throat Spray Toxtricity here. A very sort of regular build of Toxtricity. Overdrive and Boom Burst is my big damaging move. Shift Gear to get the setup. Toxic is on there as well because things like Assault Vest, Great Tusk, and Goodra, and indeed Gastrodon can fairly freely switch in if I don't have a setup going on. I need to have them weakened before I can really go for the Shift Gear. And that's what Toxic is on there for. We've got max special attack, timid nature, 184 speed, which will outpace, that's outpacing I think everything at plus 2, I think it outpaces Scarfed Zarude as well, which is what I'm kind of expecting Frosted to bring. And what I'm hoping to do is be able to set up on the Corviknight, like I fully expect her Corviknight to be here, and it can't touch Toxtricity, no matter what set it runs. So that's kind of the plan with the Toxtricity going on there. Fourth is going to be my Cleavor. I have another setup set here. As you can see, I've got a Citrus Berry on there, Jolly Nature, Swords Dance, Stone Axe, Trailblaze, and Acrobatics is the set we're running. Stone Axe is just a very spammable move, obviously. With a Swords Dance up, I can do a hell of a lot of damage, and I'm bulky enough to take hits from like Iron Head or Body Press Corviknight, even with one bulk up there. The Citrus Berry will help proc my Acrobatics to do massive damage to the Great Tusk, and Trailblaze is there just to get my speed up as well. Now, we've seen in Season 1 of the PPL, Swords Dance, Trailblaze, Cleavor do a lot of work, and I'm hoping that mine will be able to do similar things here. Next up, we have Jirachi. This is going to be Scarf Jirachi week 1. I need to be able to outpace things. My team is not as quick as I'd like it to be. We're rocking out with Psychic, Energy Ball, Thunderbolt, and U-Turn on there. We've got a Timid Nature, 152 in speed, 128 in special attack, and 224 in HP. A bit of nominal thrown into Spidef there as well. I want it to be able to take a hit here and there, but also hit quite hard. This is probably not going to be an end game sweeper. I have a few of those that I've sort of mapped out. Jirachi is there to try and get big damage early on. Like, it's going to be a dedicated lead as long as she doesn't lead with Great Tusk. I should be okay, because I can hit the Iron Bundle hard, I can like U-turn out on the Goodra, I can hit the Gastrodon if she wants to switch into that, U-turn on the Zarude, which might be a problem, but I don't think it can take me out in one hit if it's Scarfed, so fingers crossed that'll work out in my advantage. Finally, we have fully physically defensive Sandslash with the Grass Terror. Earthquake, Knockoff, Super Fang, and Rapid Spin on there are the moves of choice. You know, whilst I don't necessarily expect her to prioritise bringing the Lycanroc, this is the thing that walls out the Lycanroc easily and should beat it 1v1. The Grass Terror is on there, mostly because this thing can take a hit from Great Tusk, and I think when push comes to shove, Frosted will be prioritising going for ground offense rather than fighting offense with the Great Tusk, so Grass Terror can really help there. And the idea is just for things to chip down a lot of her bulk in order for Toxtricity to try and set up and go for a sweep. So yeah, that's pretty much the team. It's a very difficult one to prep for, is Frosted's team. I'm fully expecting those first 4. I would expect to see AV Great Tusk. I'm imagining it's going to be Boots Bundle. Like, I've watched all of Frosted's GBA games, and she loves bringing Boots Bundle, and because my team is so heavily invested in hazards, I think that's going to be the way. I could see Rocky Helmet, Corviknight coming here, maybe 3 attacks Roost. There's a Zarude I'm fully expecting to be Scarfed, AV Goodra, maybe the Gastrodon in there as well, I could see. I don't think she needs to bring the Galarian Weezing when she has that Corviknight, so I'm not expecting to see that. Thundurus I don't think has an amazing time against me, especially since Samurott doesn't have an amazing time against her. So that's my thinking there. Mischievous I think loses too many of my things to warrant it. So for me, Great Tusk, AV Great Tusk, Boots Bundle, Rocky Helmet, Corviknight, Scarf Zarude, AV Goodra, and then either Rindo Gastrodon or maybe Sash Lycanroc. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but that is going to be my team going into this one. So without further ado, let's get into the battle and see how things play out. So, into the battle. These are going to be post-commed. I'm recording them live, but then I post-comm over them. As you can see, Frosted decided to bring the Lycanroc, Zarude, Corviknight, Great Tusk, Goodra, and Iron Bundle. So a lot of what I was anticipating being brought here. No Gastrodon, in place was the Lycanroc. So that didn't really change a lot of my plans. Like, my plan was always going to lead with my Jirachi, just to try and get a decent matchup, and basically I was just hoping for her not to lead with the Great Tusk. Anything else I'd have been perfectly happy with, because Jirachi can do a lot of damage to pretty much anything else, or U-turn out on something that it didn't particularly like. But I didn't want to see the Great Tusk there at all. That was the one thing that I was hoping she wouldn't lead with. So yeah, my thought process here, get Jirachi in and either go for a big attack what's in front, or if it's the Goodra, hit something as hard as, well, not hit as hard, but go for U-turn and get into something that can hit as hard as possible. My screen is glitching a little bit here. I hope that isn't going to be part of the course, but I guess we'll find out as we go. But yeah, counting down the time to taking on Frosted. Once again, make sure you go and check out her links. They'll be down in the description below. See her side of this battle, as well as all her other fantastic content. So, getting into the battle, it's just loading up here right about now. My first battle in 5 years, going up against Frosted. There's that iron bundle that she loves so much, and fair play to her for doing so. So, as you can see, she's going to lead with the Great Tusk, the one thing I didn't want to see, which is unfortunate. I'm assuming this thing is AV off the bat, but I didn't want to stay in. I didn't even want to U-turn here. U-turn would have done nothing anyway, and if she was in fact a Scarf Great Tusk, which is very viable against my team, I didn't want to reveal off the bat that I was in fact also Scarfed, because I would have outsped. So my thought here was, what do I want to switch into to try and take this thing on or take a hit as well as possible? There's also, of course, the chance that it's rocks, but I didn't want to have anything taking too much from an Earthquake or a Headlong Rush. So I was thinking Arthur here, my Annihilate, is probably my best bet. And as you can see, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I switch out first, so I know that if she's Scarf, she knows I am, but I'm assuming she isn't. I go into Annihilate here to try and scout out and see exactly what it's going to do, but she is going to make a withdrawal of her own. And early game is going to go right into her Corviknight, which is not wonderful for me. If this thing does in fact pack the Brave Bird, then I don't want any part of it. So I'm sort of weighing up here, do I want to try and set up bulk ups early? Do I want to sub? Is there anything I particularly want to do here? But my thought process goes with, I should probably go back into Jirachi. That might be my best bet. I don't want to go hard into eating seeds necessarily, but that is also a possibility. But also, I can't set up with Toxtricity until I have much more damage on the Goodra, for example, and indeed the Great Tusk. So I'm weighing up whether I want to just go hard back into Jirachi, and that is what I opt to do. So, switching out, going to go into the Jirachi. I can threaten this with a Thunderbolt, whether or not she knows I have it, or I can just U-turn on out. And she is in fact going to go for the Taunt, which is interesting, potentially predicting my setup with Annihilate, or indeed my hard switch into the Toxtricity to try and set up early game with Shift Gear. Now here, I'm pretty sure that there's nothing that she really can do to me, so U-turn is most likely going to be my play. I don't want to go for a Thunderbolt and have her switch into the Great Tusk, which can massively threaten my team, especially now that she's seen my switch in is the Annihilate. She can take steps to go against that. So she takes a little bit of a while to think about her play here. Obviously she doesn't know what this Jirachi is going to do, so she needs to sort of work out what I'm doing here. And while I'm still a bit ill and bumped up, I am going to go for the U-turn. And eating seeds is probably my play here. At the very least, I want to get this thing out. I don't want the Corviknight in front of me right now. I need much more damage on the Goodra before I can do anything with Toxtricity. But I am weighing up whether I just go into it, because either way, it is going to threaten out the Corviknight. She's not going to want to stay in, unless she has the wild prediction that I don't want to attack her because I don't want to activate my Throat Spray. So what I intend to do instead is go into Annihilate once more, as she goes for Bulk Up. Now this is problematic. I'm not a huge fan of what's going on here, and we see the leftovers. It's not Rocky Helmet, which is interesting. I was anticipating Rocky Helmet with Roost, but she's got leftovers, which is fine. But now that a Bulk Up has happened, I'm kind of forced to go into Toxtricity, just to get this thing out of here. And I guess if I have to go for Overdrive, I will. But my thought process is that if I go into Toxtricity, she can't really damage me, and she's going to have to switch out, and it's most likely going to be the Goodra or the Tusk. But I want to test the waters first before going hard toxic on the Steel type. So, I make the play of going into my Toxtricity. She is at +1, but there's really not a lot she can do to me. It's looking like it might be a body press set, and she ends up going for the Taunt. So I guess trying to counteract either my counteracting setup on Annihilate, or indeed me going into this guy to set up a Shift Gear, which I now cannot do. So, what is my play here? I also now can't Toxic on the potential switch into the Goodra, which is what I'm pretty sure is going to come in. And so I was weighing up, do I want to go Jirachi or do I want to go Sylveon? Because the Goodra is very likely coming in. Jirachi is the safer play, in case this thing wants to stay in and go for an Iron Head. But I do switch out and I choose to go for the Jirachi because I want to see, once again, what her main switch into this Toxtricity is going to be. Is she going to go defensive or is she going to go balls to the wall? Defensive is the Goodra, and as you can see, that is what's going to come out. So, Goodra is her main switch into Toxtricity, as I kind of anticipated. Now, U-turn is the very obvious play here. I have no reason to go for anything else. I did weigh up running Psyshock on this Jirachi instead of Psykick, specifically for the Goodra, but I ended up going Psychic because of the power against the Great Tusk. I go for the U-turn, it doesn't do an inordinate amount of damage. And now I have to pick something to switch into this Goodra. The likelihood is going to be that it's Sylveon. I don't think she's going for a poison type move like the Sludge Wave on the Jirachi. That would be a wild play on her part, which is ironic because I'm considering going for a poison type move on a Steel type against her. So it's an interesting sort of conundrum that we both got going on. But as you can see, I do decide to go straight into my Sylveon. It's my safest play, and she's going to go for the Flamethrower, which does negligible damage. Fair enough going for the Flamethrower, you know, just attack what's in front of her. That makes sense. But I really don't see her staying in. I do want to get damage on this Goodra, but honestly, Corviknight is once again her safest play that she can go for. Now I do have the Reflect, and Calm Mind is also an option. Like, I was running calcs of Calm Minding up in front of a Corviknight with my Reflect up. I have to get like +4 to deal any considerable damage to it, but it was a possibility that I was considering. But I figured she's not staying in here. She's going to want to get on out of there. So that's going to be a Reflect for me because the chances are she's going into either, again, a Corviknight or a physical threat. So as you can see, she is going to withdraw, and she's going to go into the Corviknight, which is kind of what I was anticipating. This is fine for me, because I can get my Reflect up, as you can see is about to happen. There's the Reflect. Not a lot of damage being done early game to either side here. The pacing is quite slow. We're kind of still in the scouting out of each other period of things. Now here, especially with the Reflect up, I feel very safe going into my Toxtricity. She doesn't have any setup. It's very likely that she's going to go for a Taunt though. So again, that was my, do I go into Toxtricity, or I was seriously considering going into my Cleavor here, predicting a Taunt so I could get Stone Axe off behind a Reflect, knowing that she can't do a massive amount of damage to me. So that was kind of my thinking there. It'd be nice to get my rocks up and kind of judge exactly how many heavy duty boots mons she has, because I know she loves running it. And as you can see, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I do decide to go into my Cleavor here. Now, the Iron Head was always a potential, and she does end up going for it. Behind a Reflect, it's still going to do nearly 100 damage, which is more than I would have liked. So setting up is not necessarily an option here. I can't really be very well going for Trailblazers, for example, because she could just stay in and do nasty things with Iron Head. Or she can bulk up and try and outdo me in that way. So my play here is to go for a Stone Axe and then get on out into Toxtricity. And that's what I do. Gonna go for the Stone Axe. My rocks are gonna get up. It does like a little chunk of about 20% to this guy. Big Fizz Death going on there as expected, and there's the bulk up. So now I really have to get out and go into Toxtricity and start making a few plays here and there. She's got the leftovers. That's going to pop off, that's fine. But my play here is always going into Toxtricity, because even at +1 with the bulk up behind a Reflect, there's not a lot she can do to me, either with the Iron Head or that potential body press which she might have. But now that she's revealed Taunt and Bulk Up, there's only very few moves that she can have left. It's Taunt, Bulk Up and Iron Head on there. Only one more move. So Brave Birds, Body Press, something like that. If it's Body Press, then I can do lots of nasty things with Annihilating against it, potentially. If it's Brave Birds, not so much. But either way, I'm really considering my moves here. I was running some counts in the background. This is why I didn't really want to do a live comp, because I've got count going in the background. It adds a lot of pressure on me personally that I didn't want to deal with live comming, which I've never really done before. But as you can see, I finally make the play of going out into my Toxtricity, which is the big threat to her team, really. And as you can see, she's going to go for the Iron Head. Behind Reflect at +1, it's going to do absolutely nothing. And now she doesn't have a Taunt on me on the switch, which is lovely for me. It gives me that potential to go for Shift Gear, which I don't want to do, or Toxic, which I do. And now I'm thinking, just go into the Goodra. You did it last time, you have no reason not to do it again. There's nothing I can do to you, surely, especially if she's AV. Especially if she's AV. And I'm just like, go for the Toxic on the Steel type. Make the big boy play. Which is not really a big boy play, but for me who hasn't been here for a while, it is. But as you can see, it's going to work out nicely, because she is going to switch into the Goodra. And I was like, great. I did it. I did the thing. So I go for Toxic, and I'm like, hooray. This has worked out well. So now this guy is on a timer, which is good, I guess. Put in the good in Goodra. The Reflector's gone, and I don't want to stay in here. I'm thinking that an Earthquake is going to be coming my way. You know, normally these kind of Assault Vest Goodras run mixed, mostly specially offensive, but with Earthquake just in case. So I'm like, okay, going to go back into my Sylveon and start threatening this thing. I can go for Calm Minds, I can go for Reflect, stall this thing out a little bit if I need to. And she's going to reverse Uno card me by going for the Toxic on a type it wouldn't normally affect to get that thing switching. So I was overjoyed to see that. That was really well played. I liked that play. But I'm back to full. Her timer is going down quite significantly. With a few more iterations of Toxic on there, I might be able to do some work with my Toxtricity. So now Hyper Voice is probably a play. Like at this stage, I know I have switch-ins to a various amount of things. And I think it's important to say that I misread horribly the situation with Goodra's item. I don't think I registered at the time that it wasn't taking hazard damage, which was unfortunate for me. I should have known then, I should have known before that it wasn't AV, but it's whatever. Either way, I'm considering going for the Hyper Voice here. I think I was also considering going for the Reflect, knowing that she's probably not going to want to stay in here, especially since we now know she's not Assault Vest. She won't take this Hyper Voice cleanly. So, in comes the Corviknight, fairly classically. That, of course, does take some rocks damage because it's leftovers. I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice. We'll see exactly how much we can do to this thing here. Actually, no, I don't. I go for Reflect. Sorry, I completely misread that. Can't you tell it's been a while since I've narrated a Pokemon battle? We're still rusty, gang. We're still rusty. But it's fine. It's fine. So, Corviknight in here. I'm racking up poison damage more than I would like, so I don't want to be staying in. I've got the Reflect up, which is, you know, nice. And realistically, my play here is to probably try and go into Toxtricity again and go for a setup. She hasn't gone for Earthquake a few times when she could have with Goodra, so whether indeed Goodra has that Earthquake is now up in the air. But I'm also still considering the fact that it might be too early to do this. So she's actually going to pull the switch of her own. Now I had some speed on this Sylveon. That proves that this thing has some speed of its own. And in comes the Great Tusk, I guess, predicting my my Toxtricity to be the one to come in and try and set up. So good play on Frosted's part. I do end up going into my Jirachi, as you can see. Now, at the lead off of the battle, she stayed in. And I thought that was potentially an AV move or lead rocks or something. But as you can see, she doesn't take hazard damage with the Great Tusk either. So she's boots on this as well, which is wild. Multiple boots going on, especially since I'm expecting the Iron Bundle to be heavy energy boots too. So a lot of boots happening. I should have seen that coming, to be honest, but it does mean that this thing is not Assault Vest, which is a good thing. It also means it's not Scarfed, so I'm going to go for the U-turn. I'm going to get out of dodge. It doesn't show that I'm Scarfed necessarily, but she might have been anticipating it by now, given that I've been U-turning around quite a lot. So now I have to think of something to go into, and that something is going to be my Annihilate. Go into that now and see what she's going to go for, and it's going to be the knockoff, which is not going to do a massive amount to me. Good thing that I decided not to go for the energy ball. That could have been particularly bad. But now I have no leftovers on my Annihilate, which is mildly problematic. And I was considering whether to just start going for Rage Fists, because it's powered up now to base 100, it's going to do a decent chunk. In the back of my mind though, the Zarude was there as well. So I was thinking, do I want to go for a bulk up, predict the switch into Zarude, or maybe even, indeed, the switch into the Corviknight. So I go for bulk up here, deciding that's my play, and she does end up, in fact, going into the Zarude, which is interesting. She goes into the Zarude here, and I go for bulk up, and she doesn't take hazard damage. So Zarude is boots as well. Now on the plus side, it's not Scarfed. That's great. On the negative side, that's another thing that has its effect. But now I'm thinking, I just Drain Punch. And then she absolutely blindsides me with Encore, which I was not anticipating in the slightest. That was an amazing bring by her. A bold move to switch directly into an Annihilate. If I was running a Scarfed set, I'd have probably gone for like U-turn or close combat. Unfortunately, she's now nullified my my Annihilate, and I have to find a switch into a Zarude. And wasn't really sure what to go for here. I ummed and ahed about it a lot, but I figured Jirachi's the play because she's not going to go for knockoff again. If anything, she's going to go for like Power Whip or something of that ilk. So I feel safe going into my fairly bulky Scarfer, and she goes for Roar, which I was again not anticipating at all. So she roars out my Jirachi, which is unfortunate for me, but fortunately for me, she ends up roaring me into Sylveon, and I was like, this is good. I can get a nice amount of damage on this guy. And given that it's boots and it's relatively quick, it might be running some HP investment, so getting chip damage on this is going to be useful, and I can also sort of start to scout exactly what her last move is. I'm assuming it's going to be Power Whip. Power Whip can miss, I might be able to take it fairly well. Who can say? But I'm going to go for the Hyper Voice. She goes for the Power Whip, and that's going to do a lot. Vast amounts of damage done to me. I go for the Hyper Voice, and as you can see, we do a good chunk, about 75% or so, something like that. But Sinatra here is not looking great, and there's not a lot of things on her team that I can wish up on, especially now that I know that the Corviknight is quicker than me. In fact, I don't think there's anything I can wish up on. So Sinatra is kind of done here. And I was thinking, do I want to go into my Jirachi to try and save this? As you can see, I kind of ummed and ahed about whether I go Jirachi. Do I want to save it? Do I want to keep Sinatra as fodder for later? Or do I just let it go down to the Zarude? And in the end, the decision I made was to let it go down to Zarude. No, like I said, the pros really outweigh the cons of letting it go down. There's nothing that really wants to take multiple hits from this guy. Not even the Sand Slash, and I really want to keep that Sand Slash, you know, for the Lycanroc. So I decided to try and go for a Reflect, but she ended up going for the knockoff. So good thing I didn't switch into my Jirachi, because that would have probably been two shot. So down goes Sylveon, first blood, going to Frosted, which was unfortunate, but it happens. But now that I know this thing is very much not Scarfed, my play is to go into Jirachi once more. Because I can threaten it, U-turn will kill it, and going into it kind of absolutely was going to cement that it is Scarfed. There's no reason that I would do this if I wasn't, but I'm pretty sure she's cottoned on by now. There's no reason why she wouldn't. And there's no reason for me not to go for a U-turn. She either sacks this or I get initiative. One of the two things is happening. In my mind, she's probably not going to want to sack this just yet, and she's probably going to want to go into the Corviknight. And I was thinking here, maybe if she does go into Corviknight, Could I go into Toxtricity? Like, would it be time to start setting up and going for a sweep? It's difficult to tell, really. The Goodra is still there at about like 75% or so, and you know, Throat Spray activates after you go for the move, and it causes its damage. So, difficult decision to make. I'm not sure what to do here. As you can see, it's taking a little bit of a while on her side as well. But I'm trying to think like 3 steps ahead. She is in fact going to withdraw, and as you'll see, she's going to go into the Great Tusk, which is a very nice middle ground play from her, because it's one of the things that threatens me greatly. And I don't have great switch-ins to it, and it's going to have to be Annihilate. That's the thing I've been going into every time. But like I've said, I need to keep Sandslash as healthy as possible in my mind for the Lycanroc. So I choose to go into my boy Arthur here, and again, I'm sort of nervous about going for setup. Realistically, what I should have done here was go for setup anyway. I was just worried about, again, I was trying to think too far ahead. I should have been more in the moment. But I decided in the end to just attack what's in front of me. If she wants to go into the Zarude, this will take it out. But Drain Punch is very much the play I go for. I should have gone for setup. I was just worried that like if I go for setup and she goes into the Zarude, then she's going to lock me in and I don't have switch-ins. Earthquake does a good amount, and I get like a nominal little sip of health back from the Drain Punch. But now I'm in 2-shot range. What I should have done immediately was bulk up. That was the thing, or maybe even sub. But now I'm like, Rage Fist is going to do a considerable chunk. It probably won't take this thing out, but Rage Fist is now boosted like 3 times, so it's at base 200 power, which still is not going to be able to take this thing out because Great Tusk is dumb and dummy thick. So Rage Fist is going to be the play. And as you can see, she's just going straight off for Earthquakes, which is fine. Does about 150 odd points of damage. Like, if I'd have gone for a Drain Punch there, I might have been able to live the subsequent Earthquake, depending on rolls, but I just figured, get the damage on this thing. And now I'm looking at my team, and I'm thinking, well, something is basically going to die here. There's not really a whole huge amount I can do. Especially with Arthur now taking that much damage, it can't be used against the Lycanroc, which could be packing play off of Psychic Fangs anyway. So I kind of have to let Arthur go down here. There's not much I can do about it. I can't afford to switch into anything else, which is a shame, because I'd really like to see Arthur do a lot of work, but it was completely cock-blocked by that Zarude, a very well-built thing on Froston's part. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to let Arthur go here. As you can see, I'm reticent to do it. I'm really thinking, I'm calcing, I'm running all sorts of things, but in the end, it had to be done. Little sip of tea, lovely stuff. So in comes the Earthquake, and that is going to take out Arthur. So we're 6-4 down, and you know, it's a worry to be in that situation, but I still have options here. I still have options that I can go for and get some potential reverse sweeps going on. So now I'm running calcs, and all day, every day, really, my players go into Jirachi. And this is where I make a horrible, horrible error. I make a really bad error. As you're going to see, I go into my Kleavor. Now, for whatever reason, I was anticipating that I would outspeed this thing, and I could go for a Trailblaze, take it out, or if it outspeeds me, I live the hit, go for Trailblaze, and then outspeed it on the next turn. So I go for the Trailblaze, as you can see with Kleavor here, thinking this is going to be great, I might be able to get a little mini sweep going, and then she just goes straight for close combat and kills me. Yeah, huge misplay on my part. Really, really bad. Because now we're 6-3 down, I've lost a potential sweeper that could have done some setup stuff. Really bad play on my part. I really wasn't sure what I was thinking. I was caught in about 17 different minds and none of them was correct. So what I do here is do what I should have done instantly, which was go into Rachi. Unfortunately, like, I'm now forced to go for the Energy Ball to try and take this thing out, because Psychic would do it, but then it gives a free switch into Zarude, and I don't have things to take on hits from Zarude anymore. and it would be nice to actually cause some damage to anything coming in. So I'm going to have to go for the energy ball. I've been backed into a corner where I can't afford to make the play of predicting. So yeah, unfortunately, in comes the Corviknight. Energy ball is going to do absolutely nothing to this thing. And realistically, this is kind of last chance saloon to try and get any kind of setup going with Toxtricity. What I think I probably should have done here was stay in, predicting the taunt. But now I'm looking at it going, well, I need Toxtricity. Toxtricity is my only route to winning this, because Frosted has very much cottoned on early that I'm Scarfed Archie, so she saved her immunities knowing what my moves are going to be. So I can't really stick around. I end up going into my Toxtricity, which, as you can see, she's going to predict very nicely and go for the taunt, so I can't set up. But yeah, what Frosted has done, it might seem weird to be saving a lot of mons at low health, but she is saving Zarude and she's saving Great Tusk at low health, knowing that I'm Scarfed and can't lock into any one move to kill both of them with my Rachi. And now I have to go back into Rachi because I'm taunted. And at this point, you know, she's going to know that what I want to do is set up with Eating Seeds, the Toxtricity. I want to set up a shift gear and then go for an overdrive and get my throat spray off, because she's going to know now my last two moves are overdrive and boom burst. So she's figured out that I can't afford to just go for an attack on this Corviknight. So she's going to go for Iron Head, anticipating me to, you know, switch out, I guess, and it's going to be her best move to go for anyway. So I need to find a way of getting in my my Toxtricity to set up on this Corviknight, but at this point, towards this point of the game, Frosted is very much a good enough player to know that she can't let that happen. So I go for the Thunderbolt, seeing how much damage I can do, and I think hoping she'd go for Taunt, which she does. That's exactly what I sort of wanted. And now I'm thinking, okay, she might go for Roost. Maybe she's mono-attacking with Iron Head, and she's going to go for a Roost here, and I can try and get in Toxtricity, because it's like, this is the only time where I can do this. But I'm also thinking in the back of my mind, is she going to predict that, go into the Tusk to catch me on the switch? Do I have to go into Sandslash here because I need to save Rachi for our late game stuff with Scarfs? I was so caught in as many minds, I just really didn't know what to think. Like, I knew I was being outplayed. So I make the switch, and I'm going to go into my Sandslash, and I'm just going to have to hope that I can deal with the Accelerock, Lycanroc further down the line. I go into the Sandslash, as she does indeed make a play and go into her Goodra. And I'm thinking this might be fine. I might be able to actually do some work here with Toxtricity. I don't want to kill this thing. Because this might be another thing that I can set up on. She's not going to let me set up on the Corviknight, because I think in her mind she now knows with the chip damage I've got on things, if I set up a shift gear on the Corviknight, I win. Because she can't do enough damage with Corviknight to my Toxtricity, where the Accelerock will kill it. So she's going to go for Dragon Pulse here on my Sandslash. It's not going to take me out, as I just end up going for the Super Fang. I get some leftovers back, and Goodra, as we say, and we know, is on a bit of a timer here. Time crunch for Goodra with the Toxic, and I need to think about what my next best play is. And I kind of know that it's going to be Rachi. Like, it has to be Rachi. And I'm now in the back of my mind also thinking, is she going to save this for a Sap Sipper immunity to the Energy Ball, which I think she's seen. There's so many different things happening. I'm going to withdraw, which means that she's excuse me, staying in. I do end up going into my Jirachi. She's going to go for the Dragon Pulse and take me out. Take me out. And she's not quite going to go down to the Toxic. So now I have to be like, what is the next best thing? And I have to go for the U-turn. It's going to take out the Goodra. What realistically I probably ought to have done there. Could I have gone for Energy Ball? Potentially. Because what I need to do is tempt in the Corviknight. But I'm sort of rapidly now realising she's not going to let that happen. And I need Jirachi to try and tempt in said Corviknight. And I need Toxtricity to, like, win the game at this point. I finally got, like, my first kill, which is, you know, great. But at this point, I kind of have to just go into Sandslash, and I basically have to hope that Frosted throws at this point. I don't hold out great hope for that happening, because Frosted is a very good player. She's not going to let me win if she can avoid it. So, yeah, I kind of have to go into Sandslash. I really wanted to keep Jirachi in, but the thing is, if I'd have gone for Psychic, she would have just gone into Zarude. And there was too many things that she'd saved at just enough health to make this not work out. If I'd have gone for Psychic, she'd gone for Zarude, I'd have to sack something off, bring in Jirachi, she goes into Great Tuskers, I U-turn, it doesn't work. So unfortunately, I have to go into Toxtricity, knowing that this is going to tempt in the Great Tusk. I then have to sack off Sandslash, go into Jirachi, and hope she doesn't go into Zarude. There's a lot of ifs and buts here, and I'm very much on the back foot, and like I say, I've put this game in Frosted's hands. It's hers to lose, to the point where the only way I win is kind of if she throws. So yeah, I have to sack off Sandslash here. I can't go into Jirachi hard because she's going to go for Earthquake here, and it's going to kill me. I don't have enough health to live that hit. And Rachi is the only thing that realistically, without a turn of setup, takes out this Great Tusk. It's unfortunate, but I do have to go into Sandslash. Like, Sandslash will actually live an Earthquake. Unfortunately, I don't think it will live a close combat, which is a huge shame. So yeah, I'm sort of resigning myself here to losing this game. It's whether I can take out enough things to make it worthwhile. So, in comes Sandslash. Gonna come in, and like I say, Earthquake's gonna come in, which I will take. But it does too much damage. I'm not gonna live a second one. And I don't believe I was Terra Grass here. I believe. Excuse me. Actually, I think I was Terra Grass. What I should have done probably here was Terra. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough. I'll try and mute that. Either way, Sandslash is going to go down to the subsequent Earthquake, and now my hands are tied here. I have to go into Jirachi and go for Energy Ball. I have to go for the Energy Ball and take this thing out, because unfortunately I can't lock in on any one thing. The U-turn, I can't afford to risk U-turning on her potential switch. I have to go for the Energy Ball. And rather unfortunately, because the score is 5-2, she has so many things she can sack that she doesn't need anymore. And one of them is going to be the Iron Bundle. She absolutely does not need Iron Bundle anymore. If anything, it's more of a liability. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Energy Ball. This is going to clean two-shot the Iron Bundle, no doubt about it. So at the very least, I was able to take out Iron Bundle, only because Frosted allowed me to. Excuse me, because she didn't need it anymore. So we do take out Iron Bundle. I guess that's nice. Cool stuff. So Jirachi nets a second KO, which is cool, I guess, picking off Iron Bundle. But now, of course, she can go into basically anything she wants. The Zarude is the one she goes into, though. I was hoping, like, the last throw she can make here is to go into Corviknight. It is the absolute last throw that she can make is to go into Corviknight. But she doesn't. She knows better. She goes into the Zarude. If she'd gone into Corviknight, then I would have immediately had to hard switch into Toxtricity, which again she probably could have predicted. So whether it would have worked out is negligible. And I was thinking, do I go into my Toxtricity to die and see if Rachi can clean up a couple more things? Or do I just stay in, let this Zarude kill me, and then go into Toxtricity? I will live a hit, and set up and hope she doesn't have Excel Walk. Yeah, too many bits in this game where I didn't play well enough, or I was just outplayed and outclassed, and let Frosted get way too much of the upper hand. So what I come down to, my thought is that I have to just stay in and click Energy Ball and, like, I don't know, hope for a Super Mega Crit. I go for the Energy Ball. As you can see, I do not get a Super Mega Crit. I get a Spit F drop. Woohoo, that's cool. She goes for knockoff. No reason not to. That takes out my Jirachi. Down it goes. It was a difficult one for her to catch. It put in a nice amount of work, you turning around and getting some momentum here and there, but too little too late. I go into my last Pokemon, and realistically she can just choose to let whatever she wants go to this and then revenge. I have to shift gear. I don't have a choice in the matter. I don't outspeed anything apart from maybe the Corviknight on her team. But yeah, as you can see, she is going to go for the knockoff. It won't take me out. It gets rid of my throat spray. And I do go for the shift gear because I have to. Now, at this point, it's game over basically because I take out the Zarude and she comes in with Excel Rock and finishes me off. So basically my only hope here is that she decided not to use Excel Rock. So I go for the Boom Burst. That'll take out the Zarude. Big pain in my ass, that Zarude was. But yeah, down it goes. And now, yeah, my hope is please don't have Excel Rock on Lycanroc. Please don't have Excel Rock on Lycanroc. If she doesn't have Excel Rock on Lycanroc, I might even be able to win this. Because I take out Tusk and Corviknight, but no, she does indeed. Bring in the Lycanroc, which means she has Excel Rock and there's nothing I can really do. No point running Calc, because I just have to go for Overdrive and hope that it kills. But unfortunately, alas, Frosted does have Excel Rock, and that is going to take down my Toxtricity, and that is going to be the game. So yeah, bit of an unfortunate loss there. We've still got a lot of rust to shake off. I don't think I played amazingly well. I don't necessarily think I prepped as well as I could. But, you know, I'm still learning this generation and indeed last generation. So, yeah, are there things I could have done better? Yes. Are there players I could have made better in the game? Absolutely. Like, throwing away Kleavor for no reason was really stupid. And I probably should have tried to set up at a different point and not relied so heavily on a very, very end game. That is not to take anything away from Frosted. Absolutely. She put together a really good team. She is a very good player, and she has very much demonstrated to me the difference in class between like her and myself and other members of this league. She's head and shoulders above me. So I don't want to take anything away from her. She played a great game. She played a safe game where she needed to. She brought some very clever sets, which I was not expecting, and she played them basically to perfection. She saved the things she needed to, prioritizing immunities, identifying my Scarfer. Yeah, she just outplayed me. There's nothing really more I can say, and absolute props to her for doing so. But yeah, we do take an unfortunate 3-0 loss in our first game, which is sad, but we move, you know? Like I said at the start, I wasn't anticipating to be a favourite in this, and going up against probably the best team in the division first was rough, especially against such a good coach as well. But yes, GG to you, Frosted. Well played, well deserved, and good luck for the rest of the season, my friend. I hope that you absolutely keep smashing it. Again, Frosted links down in the description below. Make sure you check them out. You will not regret it. I highly recommend it. Also, fun fact, she's got 2 little pet birds, and they make appearances in her videos, and they're awesome. So yeah, all of that stuff. Check out Frosted. So, where do we go from here? Well, we go to week 2. That's going to be up next week. And oh boy howdy, is next week going to be a good one. Whilst there was fun symmetry and parallels here with me taking on someone who first uploaded when a draft league match when I last uploaded one, next week is going to be huge. Because next week, we take on probably, through my history of draft league battling, my greatest rival. Because we take on Onesie Baynet, Alex, and the Solihull Skarmours. Alex is one of my closest friends. He is probably my greatest rival in my draft league history. I'll go into more detail about that next week in the sort of pre-team builder stuff. There might even be some little stuff going on before the match happens, so keep your eyes peeled. But yes, I'm getting out of here. I've rambled on for far too long. So my final thank you to you all for watching, and I guess with that, I will see you next time. Laters.